The opposition parties in the National Assembly on Monday rejected the inquiry committee set up by Punjab Chief Minister Usman Buzdar and demanded the formation of a judicial commission to determine responsibility, as well as the resignation of Prime Minister Imran Khan for allegedly failing to protect innocent lives a mere 2-hour drive from the capital. In response to criticism from the opposition, Information Minister Fawad Chaudhry said that the previous rulers did little to promote tourism and focused on constructing palaces for themselves. When opposition leaders Shehbaz Sharif and Bilawal Bhutto Zardari demanded the formation of a judicial commission, Awami National Party, ANP, MNA Amir Haider Hote and Jamaat-e-Islami, MNA Maulana Abdul Akbar Chitrali asked the Speaker to form a bipartisan parliamentary committee comprising members from both houses to investigate. To allow members to discuss the tragic incident last week in which 23 people died in their stranded cars during heavy snowfall in and around the picturesque and famous hill station of Murray, Speaker Asad Kesser suspended the entire agenda, including a debate on the controversial Finance Supplementary Bill 2021, commonly known as mini-budget. Before allowing Shehbaz Sharif to begin the discussion, the Speaker said that the government and opposition had agreed that the finance bill debate will begin on Tuesday, today. The governing Pakistan Tehreek-i-Insaf (PTI) Chief Whip Amir Dogar afterwards submitted a resolution to reschedule the mini-budget discussion from Tuesday to Friday. And he did so with opposition parties' cooperation, who earlier said they would not allow government to approve the mini-budget under any circumstances. A severe snowfall was predicted by the Met Office, but the PTI administrations at the centre and in Punjab did not issue any red alerts for visitors and inhabitants of Murray. They also slammed the Murray Tehsil administration and the National Disaster Management Authority, NDMA, and its provincial chapter for not mobilizing the essential machinery and equipment to clean the roads during and after the storm, standard operating procedures. They lamented that no one from the government or administration reacted to the stranded visitors' emergency calls for over 20 hours. The Treasury members, including PTI MNA Murray Sardar Abbasi, called it a natural tragedy, alleging they perished from carbon monoxide poisoning, not cold. He said the rescue crews were on the scene but couldn't reach the trap due to fallen trees and power lines. Opener of the discussion, Mr. Sharif asked if the death was natural or manslaughter. He added no plans were made, and even traffic officials and snow removal authority were absent. The opposition leader called it a crime of incompetence and inefficiency that could not be forgiven. His question was directed at the administration, as he said that this was not the first time it had snowed in Murray or that visitors had come to the hill area. In the last 2 years, the epidemic has prevented people from visiting, yet, the government's corrupt attitude, greatest criminal carelessness, and administrative ineptitude has caused grief. They stated the government wasn't ready. So, what are you there for? Mr. Sharif seemed to be referring to a tweet by Prime Minister Imran Khan following the Murray incident. Mr. Sharif, a former Punjab Chief Minister, said the SOPs for dealing with such a crisis in Murray had been in place for years. He said the PMLN administration had spent millions on machinery and equipment. He called the government's probe committee a farce, saying people died due to their criminal carelessness. Instead, he suggested forming a judicial panel to examine the tragedy and bring the perpetrators to justice. After the disaster, a minister began blaming the people for not checking the weather prediction before travelling to Murray, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari stated. This is the height of hypocrisy. The Prime Minister and his ministers excel at victim blame, citing incidents like as the Hasrar protest sit-in in Quetta and the gang rape of a lady on the Sialkot-Lahore highway. He stated the Punjab Chief Minister was in Lahore for a party gathering when people died in Murray. Following Mr. Sharif, Information Minister Fawad Chaudhry slammed the opposition leader, calling him a show-off. He, Shehbaz Sharif, is here on a money laundering exemption. I expected him to talk like a leader, but he has once again shown to be a show-off with nothing to say, Mr. Chaudhry remarked shortly after making the address. Mr. Chaudhry claimed Shehbaz Sharif used to play politics. He said the Sharif family had used public funds to build palaces instead of developing Punjab and Murray. A government that built 13 new tourist resorts in 3 years, he said, was the first to market Pakistan as a tourist destination. They are instructing us about what should and should not have been done now, when the country's tourism is revolutionizing. The minister stated around 1 lakh visitors visited Murree in 5 days, but PML and politicians were nowhere to be seen. He stated 24 hours cleaned the roadways. Syed Khurshid Shah of the PPP and Asad Mahmood of the Jamiat Ulema-e-Islam stated the PM should have apologized to the people in Parliament. Members from Balochistan, including government ally Islam Bhutani, called on the federal government to support the people.